Today we are having our second annual Black Wine Producers class. We had this last year in 2024 to kick off Milwaukee Wine Weekend, and we decided to do it again this year as part of our Black History Month events. So this is probably our largest event of the year. We're expecting over 70 people. Last year we had almost 90, and it's a celebration of Black wine producers, Black people involved in the wine industry, whether they are sommeliers, distributors, winemakers, wine growers, and all the things that help make wine so great. In the United States, less than 2% of winemakers are Black or African American, and globally it's less than 1%. There are a few Black winemakers in Italy, in South Africa, Germany, France, etc. But the majority of Black winemakers around the world are here in the United States, but there aren't very many. So being able to celebrate those people and their contributions to wine is so important, and to be able to do it in a city like Milwaukee that has such a rich Black history and Black culture it makes it even better.
Baker family wines, which many people don't know. MLB, lifer, player, manager, Dusty Baker has his own winery. James and I, our co-founder, we just found this out in December of 2019. We went to visit Dusty, actually on some other business. And he took us to his winery. We went out to dinner. I just asked Dusty, I said, have you ever thought about having your wine distributed throughout the Midwest? He said, yes, I just don't know anybody who can do it. And I said, well, James and I can do it, and that's what brings us here today. Once we started doing some research, we found that obviously there aren't many Black wine distributors throughout the country, or alcohol distributors, period. Black people in the wine and alcohol industry make up 2% of the owners and executives. Once we found out, we started doing some research, we saw that we would be the first Black distributors in the state of Wisconsin. And Dusty was very excited about that as well. And we're just here to provide great service and great wine.
Surprisingly, Milwaukee is a very big wine city. There's a number of wine bars and wine shops across the city that are all doing amazing programming and have retail operations that are doing quite well. And new ones are popping up all the time. In terms of what we are trying to bring, it's about education. Right? So we're not in the business of selling wine, we're not making wine. We want to teach people about wine so that they understand what they're drinking and why, and what it is that they love about it. And even the things that you don't like, being able to articulate why. We've been around since September 2023, so we are pretty still in our infancy. And we're learning with every event and every class that we teach. We're still growing. We're trying to get more instructors on board. We just launched a certification course in January on Spanish wine, hoping to launch some certifications on French and Italian wine later this year. And we do our monthly classes twice a month. We have classes for consumers kind of like this, but at a smaller scale.
I've always been a fan of wine. And so when I had the opportunity to be like, hey, you seem to have kind of an affinity for this, would you be interested in learning more or getting a certification or possibly teaching? And that's when I kind of expanded, and I'm actually currently in the process for studying for my own Spanish wine scholar certification. So from there, I was able to teach my first class last October on sweet wines from around the world, and it was so much fun. I love the fact that I've watched them grow from being able to just teach a few classes here and there to now they're expanding and they're already certified to be instructors, and they're training right in this moment, training up the next group of certified wine scholars. And so to be able to get that level of support and engagement in Milwaukee, to be able to expand the wine community in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee has already had we have a good food and wine scene here already. And so we're finally starting to get some spotlight on, there's stuff going on in Milwaukee. And the fact that Milwaukee Wine Academy is able to kind of gear up the next wave of wine enthusiasts and industry experts is super cool.
We usually do between 4 and 6 wines at every class, and we're gonna teach folks about what is it that they're tasting, where are these wines from, who are the people making them, the ways in which these wines are produced, But then also, there's lots of maps. I'm a big map nerd, so you'll always see maps in my classes. We're gonna talk about the different grapes, and then also work through tasting wine, right? So what is acidity? What are tannins? What does body mean? The difference between a fruity wine and a sweet wine, right? Not all wines are sweet, even if they smell sweet, right? And so helping people distinguish those terms so that when they go out into the world, whether it's a restaurant, a wine bar, a wine shop, they know how to articulate for themselves what they like and don't like. We have our second Milwaukee Wine Weekend. We wanted to coincide with 414 Day and celebrate Milwaukee. And so we will start on April 10th with a happy hour at Thelma Carroll Wine Merchants here in Walker's Point. And then we have a couple other events that are still in production. I don't want to give too much away today, but it will be April 10th through 13th. I would say, don't feel intimidated by wine. We are the space to come to if you want to learn, if you're curious in any way, shape, or form. Come on out to any of our events, our classes, or maybe even you want to launch yourself into a certification. This is the space for you. It is open to everyone, and we want everyone to be drinking good wine.